Well, hey folks, how you doing today? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thanks for your patience. I'll have a lot more YouTube videos soon from the last crop circle trip. I'll be posting them during the fall and into the winter, so look forward to that on top of many other videos. So today I wanted to talk to you about a very interesting update to that video I did back in 2014 about eternal inflation and the results from the BICEP2 study in Antarctica. If you remember, you could look at the video to get a reminder what that was about. But basically, this team of scientists at the so-called BICEP2 facility in Antarctica believed they had discovered evidence of gravitational waves at the early age of the universe. The light was polarized in such a way, they called these the B-mode waves. They thought that the B-mode waves were actually indications, a certain type of polarized light, were indications of a Big Bang and certain components of the Big Bang, which would lead us to believe that the universe was still expanding way out there at the far reaches of space. In fact, that this was an indication of what's called eternal inflation. Eternal inflation means the universe never stops creating more universes. The Big Bang would never stop creating more universes. It would keep more universes would be created right now at the farthest edges of what our universe would be, and it would actually create bubble universes and things like this, and would basically kind of lead to parallel realities and so-called fractal multiverse idea. And then a few months later, other scientists came forward and said, hey, this may not be due to gravitational waves from the early universe. This is in fact due to cosmic dust. If you had cosmic dust in between ourselves and where this light was coming from, it would create the same sort of effect. And it wasn't really conclusive one way or another, but it ended up that the BICEP2 team admitted that they couldn't prove that this was in fact due to eternal inflation, and maybe it was due to dust. And a fellow named Robert Oldershaw, who's a kind of all-around smart guy, physicist, who wrote to me on my YouTube channel recently, said, hey, you need to point out in this video that these results are, no longer accepted, that this could be due to dust. And I said, well, it's kind of inconclusive. And he said, yeah, but the BICEP2 team has withdrawn their paper. And, so it looked like maybe this huge result that we live in a kind of a fractal multiverse had kind of bit the dust due to the cosmic dust, so to speak. Now, I have to tell you, I looked at Robert Oldershaw's work, and it's really fascinating stuff. He's actually a proponent of the fractal universe idea, the so-called self-similar cosmological model, or whatever you'd like to call it. It has different names. It's basically the idea that not only is the reality you and I perceive fractal, that the entire universe, the entire known universe is fractal, from the cosmological scale to the stellar scale to the planetary scales that we see with our own perception, that these are all fractal all the way down to the atomic level, which is what we've seen recently with the so-called Hofstadter butterfly, the quantum Hall effect, and other things that I've been talking about recently in my lectures, that the universe is fractal from the smallest microcosm all the way to the largest scales we can conceive of. And that would suggest that it's built around a fractal scale, period. And that's fascinating in and of itself. So that's what Robert Oldershaw's work is about, which in and of itself is quite interesting. But I had a feeling to wait before I posted my reply, and I'm glad I did, because just in last week's New Scientist magazine, a physicist, you probably heard of him by the name of Roger Penrose, very smart guy from the UK, has written a lot of great stuff. His most recent book is Fashion, Faith, and Fantasy in the New World of Physics, something like that, where he goes into all the latest ideas of physics, and some of them, which he says seem to be just kind of a fantasy and just philosophical, we don't have evidence for. He goes into string theory and lots of alternative types of physics, and then he puts forward his favorite idea, which is more kind of an Einsteinian relativistic view of physics, where Einstein trumps quantum mechanics, and that's his kind of bias in this. Well, in last week's New Scientist, there was another statement about the BICEP2 results from Roger Penrose. He basically pointed out that the data that the BICEP2 team were able to accumulate are also entirely consistent with the idea of a universe previous to ours and what they were actually seeing in this polarized light. In this polarized light data was evidence of black holes from a previous universe. Can you imagine that? So we went from the idea that it's a fractal multiverse, that it's just cosmic dust, to then a leading physicist telling us that they've looked at the data. The BICEP2 team didn't release the raw data, they released 4,000 images. And from these images, Roger Penrose and his team in the UK concluded that that data is consistent with another type of multiverse idea, just that there's a universe that's previous to ours. That's kind of Penrose's theory, that universes kind of get created and destroyed and get created again. And that what we're looking at are black holes, the remnants of a black hole from previous universe. So I think it's a pretty fantastic idea. And it just shows, what's the main point of this? Well, we still don't totally know what's going on with the BICEP2 data, but it shows us that we don't know what's going on. And I think that's often a very important result. It's very easy to get too confident in your own pet theory or your ideas. There's nothing wrong with being enthusiastic about your ideas, but you have to realize you could be wrong. And it could be something totally different. And that's often the case with the phenomena we look at here in this channel: remote viewing, crop circles, UFOs, all the very interesting stuff that's going on with the UFO topic right now. And it's very important to keep in mind that we don't really know what's going on. And especially in these enigmatic, anomalous topics, we know even less. So it's just an important point to remember. And I'm really happy that Penrose came up with this alternative suggestion, because it just throws the ball in a totally different part of the park, if you will. So anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing you in my upcoming YouTube videos. That's all for now. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye.